We are anonymous, we do not forget. We do not forgive, and we do not stay silent when the halls of power become stages for betrayal. Tonight we expose what they never wanted you to see. Behind closed doors in Washington, a plan is unfolding. A plan so dangerous, so calculated, and so deeply rooted in desperation that even the architects themselves fear what they have set in motion. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is about to be removed from power. Not by Democrats, not by voters, but by his own party, by the very people who placed him in that chair, and we have discovered why this week marks the beginning of the end. What you are about to hear is not speculation, it is not rumor, it is the result of our relentless pursuit of truth, our analysis of leaked communications, and our examination of the patterns that those in power desperately try to hide. The Republican Party is imploding from within, and Mike Johnson is standing at the center of the explosion. Let us start at the beginning. Mike Johnson became Speaker of the House under extraordinary circumstances. When Kevin McCarthy was ousted in a historic vote, the Republican conference descended into chaos. Name after name was floated, rejected, and discarded. Johnson emerged not because he was the strongest candidate, but because he was the least objectionable. He was the compromise, the placeholder, the man nobody truly believed could lead. And now, less than 2 years later, the same forces that elevated him are preparing to tear him down. But this time, there is no chaos. There is calculation. A secret plan has been set in motion, and we have traced its origins to the highest levels of the Trump administration itself. According to a senior Republican lawmaker who spoke anonymously to reporters, the sentiment within the party has reached a breaking point. Quote, "This entire White House team has treated every member like trash, and Mike Johnson has let it happen because he wanted it to happen." End quote. That statement alone reveals the depth of the fracture. But what came next was even more devastating. The same lawmaker issued a warning that should terrify every Republican strategist. More explosive early resignations are coming. It is a powder keg. Morale has never been lower. Mike Johnson will be stripped of his gavel and will lose the majority before this term ends. Read those words carefully. This is not an external critic. This is someone inside the Republican conference. Someone with direct knowledge of what is happening behind closed doors, telling the world that the Speaker's days are numbered. And the countdown has already begun. The first domino fell when Marjorie Taylor Greene announced her resignation. She did not simply retire. She detonated a bomb. In her statement, she accused Trump and the House Republicans of abandoning the very priorities that brought them to power. She called them complicit. She said they were wasting a razor-thin majority on meaningless battles while the country crumbled. And she walked away. What the media initially dismissed as one congresswoman's frustration has now revealed itself to be something far more significant. Greene's departure was not an isolated incident. It was a signal. A signal that the coalition is breaking apart, and that those who remain are either too afraid to leave or too invested in the chaos to care. We have confirmed that multiple Republican lawmakers are now actively considering early retirement before the midterm elections. Some have already communicated their intentions to party leadership. Others are waiting for the right moment to announce. The mathematics are brutal. The Republican majority in the House is so narrow that losing even a handful of members could shift control to the Democrats before a single vote is cast in November of next year. And here is where the secret plan comes into focus. Within the Trump orbit, there is a growing recognition that Mike Johnson has become a liability. His inability to control his own conference, his failure to deliver legislative victories, and his public association with an administration drowning in scandal have made him expendable. The question was never whether to remove him. The question was when. We have obtained information suggesting that this week marks a critical inflection point. Multiple sources indicate that behind-the-scenes negotiations are underway to identify a replacement. Names are being floated, alliances are being tested, and Mike Johnson, the man who was supposed to be the steady hand, is being measured for his political coffin. But what makes this removal different from the McCarthy ouster is the context in which it is occurring. The Republican Party is not just facing internal divisions. It is facing an avalanche of scandals that threaten to bury everyone associated with the Trump administration. Consider the case of Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense. Just days ago, the Washington Post revealed that Hegseth issued an order during a military operation in the Caribbean that crossed every legal and ethical line. According to the report, Hegseth instructed forces to kill everyone on a suspected drug trafficking boat. Not capture, not neutralize. Kill them all. Senator Mark Kelly, a former Navy captain and astronaut who serves on the Armed Services Committee, immediately called for an investigation. He stated clearly that if the order was given as reported, it constitutes an illegal order. Under military law, service members are not only permitted to disobey illegal orders, they are legally required to refuse them. What Hegseth allegedly ordered was not a military operation, it was a war crime. And how did Donald Trump respond? He did what he always does. He abandoned his ally. During a press conference aboard Air Force One, Trump was asked about the second strike that killed people on the boat. His response was chilling in its transparency. I would not have wanted the second strike. He distanced himself. He threw Hegseth under the bus. He made clear that when the heat becomes unbearable, loyalty flows in only one direction. This pattern of abandonment is central to understanding the secret plan against Mike Johnson. Trump does not protect his allies when they become liabilities. He discards them. And Johnson, who has failed to deliver results while scandal after scandal engulfs the administration, has become exactly the kind of liability Trump despises. But the Hegseth scandal is only one piece of the puzzle. We must also examine the catastrophic performance of Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security. In a television interview that will be studied for years as an example of political self-destruction, Noem was asked about court orders requiring the administration to stop sending detained migrants to a mega prison in El Salvador. The Justice Department had admitted in federal court that Noem personally made the final call to continue the flights anyway, in direct defiance of a federal judge's order. When pressed on whether she acknowledged defying the court, Noem did not deny it. She deflected. She spoke about being proud of Trump's leadership, but her non-denial was itself an admission, and legal analysts immediately recognized what she had done. She had confessed to contempt of court on national television. The judge's order had been explicit. Any plane containing these detainees that is in the air needs to be returned to the United States. Those people need to be returned. Comply immediately. And Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, chose to ignore it. That is not enforcement of immigration law. That is lawlessness. That is an administration that believes itself to be above the judiciary. And it gets worse. During the same interview, Noem was forced to admit that a person who committed a violent crime in Washington had been granted asylum not under the Biden administration, as Trump had claimed, but under the Trump administration itself. In April, when Trump was already president. The entire narrative collapsed in real time, and Noem's attempt to blame previous leadership became impossible. These scandals are not isolated. They are interconnected. They reveal an administration in free fall, where accountability has been replaced by blame shifting and where the truth is whatever they need it to be in the moment. And Mike Johnson, as the Speaker of the House, is supposed to be the person providing oversight. He is supposed to be the check on executive overreach. Instead, he has been silent, complicit. And now, he is paying the price. The secret plan to remove Johnson is not simply about finding a new leader. It is about survival. Republicans in Congress are watching the polls collapse. They are watching the economic chaos created by tariffs and failed trade policies destroy the livelihoods of their constituents. They are watching farmers in their districts lose everything while the administration promises relief that never comes. Let us examine the economic dimension of this crisis, because it is inseparable from the political calculus driving Johnson's removal. According to recent polling data, 84% of Democrats, 74% of independents, and a majority of Republicans believe that tariffs are raising prices right now. When you can get majorities of both parties to agree on something, you know the pain is real. The Treasury Secretary can claim that prices will come down in weeks or months, but the American people feel the truth in their pocketbooks. The agricultural sector has been devastated. The administration promised that China would purchase 12 million metric tons of soybeans by January. The reality? According to reports, China has made only 2 major purchases totaling approximately 1.5 million metric tons. That is not close to the promised figure. That is a catastrophic failure, and it is the farmers, many of whom voted for Trump, who are paying the price. This economic suffering is creating political pressure that Mike Johnson cannot contain. Members of Congress are returning to their districts and facing constituents who are angry, desperate, and demanding answers. Those answers do not exist, and the person who is supposed to be leading the legislative response has no solutions to offer. But there is another dimension to this story that the mainstream media has been reluctant to touch: the Epstein files. We have been tracking the administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein documents since Trump took office. What we have discovered is a pattern of obstruction, misdirection, and outright cover-up that connects directly to the chaos engulfing the Republican Party. The narrative around the Epstein files has shifted multiple times. First, the administration claimed the whole issue was a hoax. Then they claimed Democrats were blocking the release. Then Trump claimed he had always supported releasing the files. Each shift was designed to position the administration on what they perceived to be the winning side of public opinion. But the documents tell a different story. Attorney General Pam Bondi has been at the center of efforts to delay and obstruct the release of the Epstein files. Congressional Democrats have issued subpoenas demanding access to the documents. The administration has ignored them. And the reason is obvious to anyone who has followed Trump's history with Jeffrey Epstein. Trump bragged about being friends with Epstein for 15 years. He flew on Epstein's plane at least 7 times. He commented publicly about how much Epstein seemed to like women on the younger side. And now, as documents that could reveal the full extent of their relationship threaten to emerge, the administration is doing everything possible to keep them buried. But new information has emerged that threatens to blow the cover-up wide open. Steve Bannon, the former White House chief strategist, has been revealed to have been working with Jeffrey Epstein on a documentary project before Epstein's arrest. According to reports, Bannon was helping Epstein rehabilitate his image, creating content designed to counter the Netflix documentary that exposed Epstein's crimes. Bannon allegedly possesses approximately 15 hours of unreleased video footage featuring Epstein. Congressman Robert Garcia, the ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, has confirmed that he and his colleagues plan to subpoena individuals connected to Epstein, including Steve Bannon. The committee wants access to those tapes. They want to know what Epstein said. They want to know who else is implicated. And they want to know why Bannon, a man who later positioned himself as one of Epstein's critics, was secretly working to protect him. This is where the plan to remove Mike Johnson intersects with the larger crisis facing the Republican Party. If Democrats gain control of the House before the midterm elections, either through resignations, special elections, or defections, they will take control of every committee. They will issue subpoenas that cannot be blocked. They will hold public hearings with witnesses under oath. They will expose what this administration has tried to hide. And Mike Johnson knows this. The Republicans know this, and that is why the secret plan to remove him is so urgent. It is not about replacing a failed leader. It is about finding someone who can prevent the collapse, someone who can hold the line long enough to survive, someone who can keep the majority together just long enough to avoid accountability. But it may already be too late. The special election in Tennessee represents another opportunity for Democrats to pick up a seat. Each resignation creates another opening. Each scandal creates another distraction. And each day that passes brings the majority closer to extinction. Representative Jasmine Crockett has been particularly vocal about the hypocrisy at the heart of the Republican position. She has noted that the party claims to care about life, but treats living people at their borders with cruelty. She has pointed out that they campaigned on the Epstein files, but now refuse to release them. She has highlighted the economic suffering caused by tariffs while billionaires receive tax cuts. And she has warned that the dehumanization of immigrants and minority communities follows the same pattern that preceded the worst atrocities of the 20th century. These are not partisan attacks. They are observations based on documented behavior, and they are resonating with voters who feel betrayed by an administration that promised prosperity and delivered chaos. The mood within the Republican conference has been described as apocalyptic. Members who once lined up to praise Trump are now questioning whether they want to be associated with him at all. The threats and intimidation that once kept the party unified are now generating resentment, and the promise that loyalty would be rewarded has been exposed as a lie. Look at what happened to Senator Mark Kelly when he dared to suggest that military members should follow the law. Trump said he should be hanged. Hegseth threatened to recall him to active duty for court-martial. The FBI sent what Kelly described as intimidating communications, all because a senator reminded service members that they are bound by the Constitution, not by the whims of political appointees. This is not normal behavior. This is the behavior of an administration in panic. And panic leads to mistakes. Mistakes lead to exposure. And exposure leads to consequences. We have analyzed the timeline of events leading to this moment. The Hegseth war crime allegations, the Noem court defiance, the Epstein cover-up, the economic collapse, the resignation cascade. Each element compounds the others. Each scandal makes the next one more damaging. And at the center of it all stands Mike Johnson, a man who was never meant to lead, trying to hold together a coalition that no longer wants to be held. The plan to remove him is not a conspiracy in the traditional sense. It is not a secret meeting in a dark room where plotters scheme against their leader. It is something more organic and perhaps more dangerous. It is the collective recognition among Republican members that the current path leads to disaster. It is the unspoken agreement that change is necessary, even if the cost is high. It is the survival instinct of politicians who see their careers ending unless they act. And the action is coming. This week, we have confirmed that conversations are intensifying. Alternative candidates are being evaluated. Vote counts are being assessed. The machinery of removal is being assembled, and Mike Johnson either does not see it coming or has accepted his fate. What happens next will determine more than the leadership of the House. It will determine whether accountability is possible. It will determine whether the scandals that this administration has tried to bury will finally see daylight. It will determine whether the American people will know the truth about what has been done in their name. We will be watching. We will be documenting. We will be exposing. Because that is what we do. We find the documents they hide. We trace the connections they deny. We reveal the patterns they hope remain invisible. And we share what we discover with those who deserve to know. The secret plan to remove Mike Johnson is not a theory. It is happening. The evidence is in the statements of anonymous lawmakers. It is in the resignations that have already occurred and those that are coming. It is in the desperation of an administration that cannot stop the bleeding. It is in the mathematics of a majority that no longer exists in anything but name. Share this message. Spread the truth. Talk to your neighbors. Question the narratives you are being fed. Because the people who want to control information understand that knowledge is power. And they will do everything they can to keep you in the dark. But darkness cannot survive when truth carries a light. The weeks ahead will be turbulent. More scandals will emerge. More officials will fall. More secrets will be exposed. And through it all, we will be here, documenting, analyzing, and revealing. The plan to remove Mike Johnson is just the beginning. What comes after will reshape American politics in ways that few can predict. But one thing is certain. Those who believed they could operate without consequence are about to learn that accountability, delayed though it may be, always arrives. We are anonymous. We see what others overlook. We remember what others choose to forget. We connect patterns that power tries to obscure, and we do not rest until the truth is known. The speaker's chair is about to become vacant. The majority is about to shift. The investigations are about to begin. And those who have been hiding behind their positions of power are about to face the one thing they fear most. Exposure. Expect us. We are anonymous. We do not forget. We do not forgive. And we have only just begun to reveal what they tried to hide. The countdown has started. The plan is in motion, and nothing they do now can stop what is coming.